one of our ex-Karmavir Global Fellows. Akshay and his wife, Michelle Abraham over there, who are from the Institute of Forest Management in Bhopal and have started their own social venture now. Akshay Abraham.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Akshay. That's my wife there, who's walking at the back, Michelle. So, recently, at the beginning of this year, I left my job to start something I've always been interested in, and that is combining my passion for sports with my passion to work with underprivileged children. So I started an organization called KHEL. It's an acronym for Kids Holistic Education and Life Skills. And I guess we've heard enough about life skills over the last 2-3 days, so I don't need to explain that. So I'll just give you a brief outline of what a typical session of ours looks like. We start interacting with the children and use sports as an attractive uh, activity for them. We don't need to drag them out of a classroom and start talking to them. They come on their own. And if they're street children, they come out from the slums, they come from the shelters. So they enjoy the sessions, which are typically volleyball or football, a little bit of cricket. And then we build on that. We have two things which we do. One is life skills, of course. So each session, say it's a 1.5-hour session, we do about 40 minutes of sports and 40 minutes of life skills. A little bit of what we call energizers, or what you all may know as icebreakers. And once in a while, we also give key development messages such as safe hand washing, what is dengue, and we plan to go into things such as financial know-how and what do you call it? Make linkages to vocational training for the senior children. So these are the things which we are doing. We've only been working for about 4 months now. We work with about 300 children, and today's Tuesday. On Thursday and Friday, we'll be having our first sessions with 2 new partner institutions. One will be an orphanage, and one is a sort of an after-school program for children of migrant laborers. So that's basically what we do. It's a very young organization. We are still learning. We are not educationists. We are not experts in life skills. Yesterday, there was someone here who's done her PhD in this stuff. So it's very humbling to be in this room where all of you have achieved so much. We have just started, and I'd really like to thank Jerry for giving me this opportunity. For just a 3 or 4 month old organization to be here is really amazing for us. And I've already got like 6 SMSs from my team. When are you getting the award? When are you getting the award? The pictures are not live on Facebook. So I've been telling them relax. So it's really motivating for us, and thank you so much.
You're welcome, Akshay, and happy to know about the venture that you started. So I wish KHEL all the best. And any questions for Akshay? Yes, Nidhi.
What was your motivation? You just said this was something I wanted to do, but why this?
Okay, so it's a long story. I'll try to keep it short. I had the privilege to be educated in one of the best schools in India, Sherwood College in Nainital. Although I'm from a very sort of middle class background, my father worked in the State Bank of India. So I was a scholarship student. And the rest of my classmates and everyone in that school basically were son of businessmen or diplomats, really rich kids. And I didn't realize it, of course, at the time, but I was always, you always feel a step behind in that kind of an environment. They had better food, they had better pencil boxes, they had those, magnetic kind of pencil boxes. I had my cheap plastic wala, and things like that. So the only place I really felt comfortable, there were, of course, a lot of differences. My Hindi was always weak because my parents were from South India. My first language was English. So all these differences disappeared on the playing field. And there's a reason why there's a phrase called level playing field. And this, I didn't realize at the time, it's much later I realized it. Second thing about my schooling is that there was a lot of focus on sports in a typical boarding school as there is, even today. And the people who were looked up to as, the heroes were not those who got 95%, but those who were captains of the football or cricket team. And that sort of stayed with me. I was sports secretary during my MBA for 2 years. I'm not a district level player also, forget state, national level, but sports has made a difference. And our principal at the time, we had compulsory marathons. So every year we had to run for 2 months. Every day we had to run up and down the hills for 10 kilometers. And on the final day, he would say things like, marathons builds your character and stuff like that. Us समय तो we gave big galis. But today, I know that I can work 18 hours a day because I ran a marathon in my youth. And I can do it for a week at a stretch. I will not sleep. And those who haven't run a marathon, I don't think they can do that. There's so many ways. I know both of you run marathons. Is there anyone else here who's run even 5 kilometers? I'm sure it makes a difference to your whole life, the way you think. And the sports makes a difference. If you just come for one of our sessions, you see a girl today, she'll not be able to look up and speak to a group of, her classmates. Just make her play football for 3 sessions and make her play with the boys, and you'll see what gender is all about. It just changes the way people think.
Thank you, Akshay. And just to add to that, we had actually nominated, and this is a story which is told in a lot of leadership training programs, of a man called Kambade Stone. We nominated him, but he couldn't make it this year. He's from Uganda. And through the medium of football, he's actually influenced a lot of young adults to walk on the righteous path and spread that message. So I think it's a great medium, and a lot of people doing that. Yeah. Thank you.
Just to add to that, one of the places we work with is a shelter for street children. Many of these children are found on the station, and they're invited to come to this. It's an open shelter. They're free to leave if they want. The only difference we are making there is that we are giving them reason to come. Otherwise, they could be on drugs. Many of them were on drugs. Because of that shelter, I won't take all credit for it. Because of the shelter and because of what I am adding as a small component to that shelter, a little bit of fun, in addition to what they provide in terms of food and shelter and a bit of education, I'm adding a small fun factor to that. Those children are not sniffing glue. They are not on the street and not getting, influenced by bigger children. There's stuff like that which we are making a small difference. And we can see it has just been about 3 months, but I'm very happy with what I'm doing. And I thank sports for that. And just to add to that, that was the sports side of it. I entered this sector about 7 years back, which is when I interacted with Jerry also. And the reason I entered is that I was an ISEC member, and I did a 1-year fellowship in Austria, where I saw, a real developed country. And that was a decade ago, and we are still nowhere near that. And that motivated me to enter this sector.
Thank you, Akshay. I also think, I know Akshay now for almost 7 years and know some of the organizations they worked with. And since they worked with those organizations, I won't name the organization, but I think they also have some disillusionment which has set in. So probably talk on
Jerry
that.
doesn't know this, but he's been a big influence on me. We haven't interacted much over the last 7 years, but I met him during my first job after IFM. And he actually showed me that one person can stand up to wrong, and he can make a difference. And I've been following him, not been interacting with him, but following, I get those spammy emails from Rex, which I glance through. So I know what's been happening, and one person really can make a difference, and it has influenced me. Through example, he hasn't given me any lectures or mentored me or motivated me in any other way than by his example. And one of the reasons I started my own NGO is exactly because there's so many NGOs doing crap, basically. Just recently, we heard about an NGO funded by UNICEF in a village, which I don't know the name of the NGO, and it's hearsay, so I shouldn't repeat it, but might as well. They're supposed to give jobs, must be some sort of a program for livelihoods. So to give a job of a salary of 1,800, they're taking 75,000 rupees from villagers. And I don't know how NGOs do this and why they're here. So I totally identify with Jerry, and I'm really honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, sure.
Hi, Akshay. It's fantastic what you're doing. I hope you can, we have recreation classes with blind through which we teach life skills. I hope someday, we can have Kale actually come and teach blind students the same thing. What you just said, the content of what you just said, do you think, I think you can really influence privileged kids as well, not just underprivileged kids. So is that part of your mandate at all in the future? Because I think it's really relevant what you're doing.
So, sorry, I didn't mention this earlier, but actually one of the things we are doing is bridge the gap. Yesterday there was talk about bridging a gap between a different kind of, really elite kind of education and elite education. We are trying to bridge the gap between a city elite school education and either no education, slum children kind of people. So we've already had one event where we had children from about 10 orphanages, shelters, village schools coming and interacting with children on the sports field in a non-competitive manner. We called it the Global Peace Games, which is a UN initiative. You're free to organize them as you please. It was around the Global Peace Day. So we had 85 children from various orphanages, schools, village schools, shelters. They just came, they played a little bit of football, a little bit of volleyball, a little bit of cricket, a little bit of basketball. They put their thumbprints. There was a small activity for all of them to do. So they got to interact with children from the best schools of Lucknow. And best means actually the best schools of Lucknow. And they really enjoyed themselves. And today those teachers or their caretakers in these shelters tell us that these 4 children who went to your event have improved so much because they have seen how other children behave, and it's just opened their eyes to a whole different world. And they have become much more aspirational. They're paying attention in classroom, things like that. So
Thank
we
you,
are trying
Akshay.
to do this.
Thank you, Akshay. And Pooja, the whole idea of creating this fellowship and the awards was that people can come together and work together, collaborate, share knowledge. That's what I was talking about yesterday, that in a increasingly dangerous world, I mean, it's becoming more and more dangerous by the day, but if people are skeptical and scared to share knowledge, I think that's the biggest fear. And the whole idea was to kind of create a space where we can transfer knowledge, share knowledge, and work together for making a difference. So feel free to I can see that there are a lot of synergies between what you do, what they do, what Nidhi does, and several other people in this room. So let's find those synergies.
I'll just take 30 seconds more. Just the previous speaker was speaking about how she doesn't need funds. I really admire that. But I'm shamelessly saying I do require funds. My leadership team, that is me, my wife, my sister, a couple of friends, we do not take any money at all. They have full-time jobs. I left my job, but we are not taking any money. But we do pay people. Petrol is a huge expense. We go 30 kilometers out of the city and back. You all know petrol prices. I want to expand. I'm not happy with 30 children or 300 children. I want to take my program to many, many NGOs across Lucknow, across UP. And my vision for this is to make it into sort of a plug-and-play development message NGO. So if you have a message on, you work with adolescent girls talking to them about personal hygiene and menstruation, you just need to come to me and I'll identify what are my partner institutions and where I can give you this kind of a thing. I plug it into my sessions and your people can train my people, or you just come for my sessions. So that is the vision of what I want to do. And it does require funds, and I'm not asking any of you to contribute, but please go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Project Hale. If you can identify with what we do, please leave a comment, because it does help us. It motivates our team. It motivates me because we are just 3 months old. I'm still not sure what I'm doing. I'm learning. So if you think I'm on the right path, say it. If you think I'm wrong, please don't say it publicly. But
Perfect. So thank you, Akshay. Brilliant. General Saigal, you had a question or an observation? For me? Yeah. Okay. I hope it's not a warning.
It relates to your very interesting observations that you've been coming in with, inspiring and interesting. But something fundamental that should have flowed from Rex, I hope you take it up soon. All the Rex sessions that I have attended, you started with an oath or a pledge to the Constitution.
Right, sir.
That's the start point. What happened in Gujarat? What happened in 1984 in...
Right, right.
Now, you see, we still haven't got to the problem.
True.
The problem is violation of the Constitution.
Absolutely.
And the point I'm making is, that time the Chief Minister in Delhi, or the powers in Delhi, now the Chief Minister in Gujarat, why haven't we asked all the police people who acted that your oath was to the Constitution, what the hell were you doing?
True.
To uphold the Constitution?
True.
I think this has to be taken up by Rex. In all our conclaves, you are talking of voice of dissent.
Right.
This question has to be raised, each one of them.
Right.
100 out of 100, 100% violation by people who are in uniform.
Right.
You might take it up.
So in 2010 is when we did the conclave on communal harmony. And happy to tell you that I was working with Harsh at that time, and we took a hard stand against what happened in Gujarat. That was actually my first journey in the whole NGO space. And we actually went around talking to various people. I did a campaign called Diwali Ramzan, and we educated people about what really happened in Gujarat was not riots, but we termed it as a pogrom, which, as you know, basically means a state-sponsored massacre of people. So there is a lot of work happening in that. We need, yeah. So, but they have all become subservient to the so-called elected rulers, no? Because the elected rulers have forgotten that they are public servants, and the public has allowed them to do that. So somewhere I may blame the citizenry.